Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Notes to Self. My name is Melanie.
And I'm Cory.
And we were both born and raised in a polygamous church here in Utah called the AUB, or the Apostolic United Brethren. I was raised with 4 mothers and 34 brothers and sisters. That was a mouthful.
And my father had 9 wives and 39 kids, all up in a compound up in Pinestone, Montana.
Great. And my dad is the current leader of the AUB, and we are here to talk about the latest episode of Sister Wives. Sister Wives season 20, episode 7. You're like a stripper and I'm like a pole, which I think is a weird name for the show, but whatever. We are going to get out number 6 as well. We just haven't yet, so that will come out soon. These episodes have been a little bit triggering, I think, for both of us, but yeah, so we've been kind of processing through some of it, and then obviously with work and stuff like that. So we're going to get to them. But again, this is another reason why we like to remind people to do their healing work, because when you watch these episodes and you see some of the trauma that some of these people are experiencing and currently going through, it's hard to watch.
Yeah, this is chock full of why we do our healing work, learn how to communicate, because we were never trained as children to communicate. You were told to be quiet, your opinion didn't matter, and sit down and be quiet. And so
Right. And we watched these episodes with my mom. So we watched both episodes back to back, to episode 6 and episode 7. I think it took us like 6 hours today. Wouldn't you say? It was about that long to get through both episodes, because pause, discuss. And some of the things my mom was saying is that so many of the things that they say and do with the Brown family are exactly the same things that happened in our family growing up. And that's what I told her. I'm like, Mom, I think their story is similar to 95% of all the polygamists we know. Like it's a very common story.
Their honest story, what they're telling now. So
right.
They're using the same terminologies that we are all raised with. Suffer long and make it to the end, whatever the terminology she used in there. I heard it 100 times growing up as a kid. So.
Well, I think that would have been a better name for this episode, was endure to the end, and suffering will bring you greater blessings. I think that probably would have been a better name for this episode. But
Cody got to name this one. So.
Yeah. So one of the things, we start out with Mary unpacking some wedding stuff with Jen, her friend. And one of the things that she says is that she wanted to do things differently at her wedding. What's funny is, again, they show pretty much the same clips over and over of her and Cody's wedding. And there's my mom the whole time. I'm pausing it, pointing to her in the TV, and she's like, oh my gosh, that is me. But she talks about how she homemade her own wedding dress. And Jen's like, you made your own wedding dress? And she's like, yeah. What 19-year-old polygamous girl doesn't? Exactly. And she doesn't want to necessarily get rid of it because she made it with her grandmother. And I 100% fully relate. I did my wedding dress with my grandmother, but of course I was 17, not 19. And we homemade mine, and I still have the darn thing. I don't know what I'll ever do with it, because it had to be, like, I wanted it to be pretty enough to be for the reception, but then practical enough to cover your garments to go through the temple in it. So that's why a lot of times we would make our own dresses, is because the practicality of it. And nobody has that kind of money to spend on a wedding dress. So it just makes more sense.
Even in the 1980s, dresses were inappropriate for the AUB.
That's very true. Well, because
1890s.
Well, it's funny. Somebody put on one of the Facebook groups that I follow what they used to have in the Mormon temple, and it was the requirements of the garment, and that it had to be to the ankles, to the wrist, to the neckline, and that used to hang in the Mormon temple, the Salt Lake City temple, way back in the early, whenever the temple was, like, I think even in late as the 50s, before the Mormon church started altering the garment and making it more, modern, so that people could wear it. So then they ended up taking down these signs warning people.
Yeah. Got to adjust the garment so that you get more people going through the temple, willing to go through the temple to pay their tithes, to do a full tithe, things like that. So
yeah, if you want to grow your church and grow the wealth, then you have to accommodate what the people want. And so where the AUB just said, no, we're sticking with the original garment. This is what we're wearing. Now, of course, I'm not here to offend any current Mormon people, but because they'll come back in the comments and say, well, the prophet was instructed that this was the way that the new garment was to be worn. That's great.
That's how they all are.
That's how all the prophets are.
Everything's changed because of the prophets get updated.
Exactly.
Technology or revelation.
Exactly. And in the AUB, that is one of the things that they have not changed. But the AUB is no different than the Mormon Church. And they get a new prophet who gets a new revelation and changes the way things are. So that, again, is why we say the AUB changes the rules all the time.
Yeah. Just not the garment yet.
Not yet. So. I don't think the garment will ever change, because that is the one thing that they're extremely strict on. And even just talking to my mom about that, my mom actually didn't receive her garments until I was 8 years old, almost 9 years old. No, I guess I was 8. And because they didn't have a temple available out at the AUB. So a lot of the older generations, Mary's parents, my parents, did not have garments. My dad did, however, because he married his first wife in the Mormon temple. So he had Mormon temple garments on when he married my mom, but he wore the original long ones apparently. So Mary talks about, so she talks about her wedding dress. It's funny. She showed her invitations. I was telling this to Cory and my mom. I probably still have Mary's wedding invitation downstairs, tucked away in a box somewhere, because when she showed it, I was like, oh my gosh, I remember that invitation. And I am a hoarder, and I have a million freaking invitations of all my friends. In fact, a couple of my friends that married a couple, like my 5 wives and Brady, I think I still have their wedding invitations. And I'll have to go dig through that box and see how many people have gone on TV.
Yeah, back when you were a part of the AUB.
And I was included and invited.
Invitations. Only the worthy could be included in those kind of invitations. So.
Right. Well, Brady's first wife, Polly, and I were really, really good friends. She was one of my very best friends growing up. And so I'm pretty sure I still have hers down there. And then I'm pretty sure I probably have Mary and Cody's down there, because it looked really familiar when she showed it. And then Christine talks about her wedding dress and what she did with her wedding dress. Apparently she cut up chunks of it to help make flowers for McKelty's, reception or bouquet or whatever. Our daughter did the same thing. You can see them. We have them on our shelves here, but she did wooden flowers. So now we'll always have, here's mine right here, and here's Cory's right here. Yep. And so that way they just never died. So I thought that was a really cool idea, but it sounds like Christine did hers, and we haven't seen those episodes yet. So I didn't realize that she had done that. And so she talks about that, and then they get to Robin. It's funny because they don't really talk to Janelle about too many, like, what were your memories about this? What were your memories about that? So, and we all saw Janelle didn't really get married in a wedding dress. I think it was a green dress that she wore, but then they talked to Robin, and she starts talking about her wedding day and what her wedding experience was. And she just gets the biggest frown on her face. Her frown that she does is so deep and so prevalent on her face. I feel sad for her.
Well, I see the pictures and the video of when she was getting married. She's very excited.
Yeah.
But she's focused on getting a husband and getting the wife so she can get into heaven. So that's definitely.
So he says to her, was your wedding day everything you hoped for? So here, let's take a look at this one.
Screen.
To Cody in.
Is it a good memory, your wedding day?
There's that frown.
It's a good memory because I accomplished the thing that I wanted to accomplish. My goal was to make sure that everybody felt like they were having a good time and felt comfortable and emotionally safe.
Emotionally safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
She accomplished everything that she wanted to accomplish. She got a husband.
Sounds very calculated.
A TV show, and 3 other wives to get her into heaven, and to work towards creating
the one-wife family,
bringing money into the family.
Yeah.
She hasn't quite accomplished the becoming the legal wife yet, but her goals up to that moment, she definitely accomplished them all.
Yeah, that
So,
sounded really calculated, the way
Mhm.
that she said that. I was just like, wait, what? I mean, I think I wasn't even looking at the TV when she said it. And then I just like popped up like, what do you mean you accomplished everything you were setting out to accomplish? What does that mean?
well, she's telling the truth now. Before, in the first couple episodes, she was so in love with Cody, so in love with the family. So it was, this is why Cody is worried, because, yeah, those aren't her memories of it anymore. Goals to accomplish, she's accomplished them. He let her down by letting the wives leave, and so
Yeah, I think
she's got new goals.
yeah, I was really surprised by that. And then we see Cody and Robin go out on a date. And this is the most awkward date ever. I'm surprised all the people in the background were okay with just being filmed like that. Part of me was like, did they hire extras? Because everybody acted like there was no cameras involved or anything like that. I thought it was kind of an interesting.
Well, they've all seen Cody there.
And they don't
Robin
care.
Don't care.
They're like, yeah, we don't care about that.
Yeah. Will this table work? Well, I hope so. The cameras are set up right behind it, so let's just have a seat. So
yeah, so I thought that whole lunch, he's so insecure with himself. It is really actually sad to watch. And I would say the word is pathetic more than anything, because he is just like, she says, oh, I didn't get any sleep. And he was like, you never get any sleep because the kids are, and then he says something, which is really interesting. He says, we forget to be like together or something like that. We co-parent, or we become battle buddies. And I thought that was the way he said that, because I feel like the terminology that these two have been using in the last couple of episodes feels really, like there's some problems going on there, a lot of problems going on there. And so, but why is Robin staying up all night? Why are the kids keeping her up all night? Their youngest is like, what, 10 years old? But I mean, Warrant, our 10-year-old, our youngest had, is on the spectrum a little, and he literally did like to sneak in our bed until I remember thinking he was never getting out of our bed. And we would be so strict, and we'd make him go back into his own room. And then in the middle of the night, he would be in bed with us. I'm like, how the hell did he get in here? So I have empathy for them in that regard. I do. We did go through it pretty rough too.
Well, and it's probably a normal thing for Robin and the other wives to have the kids come in, sit down,
Right.
do all that stuff, because Cody's only around every 4 or 5 days.
Right.
And so, but now Cody's moved in, and it's been years, but now he's moved in full time, and her routine has just continued on without Cody. And Cody's the one going, oh my gosh, yeah, these kids are coming in and out, because in his previous life as a polygamist, when he showed up to a house, he was being adored by everybody. And then when him and the wife went into the room, it was all him time.
Right.
And kids weren't welcome in there at that time.
And that is very common. We had that conversation with my mom earlier today. When the husband does come home, a lot of times the focus is 100% on him. The wife and the husband go in the bedroom, shut the door, because they got to work on stuff that they've got, whatever they've got going on. And the kids are left to tend for themselves. And all of a sudden, Cody's like, wait a second, your bedroom's open 24/7. What is happening here? That is not a common practice. And a lot of kids sleep with their parents. I have heard some of my own siblings say, yeah, I was angry with dad. He would come and take my spot when I was trying to snuggle with mom, or I was trying to sleep with mom. And that is very common for, a mother's bed to turn into 12 kids sleeping with her because dad's not home.
Or they don't have a place somewhere else.
Or they don't have a bed. I never had my own bed
on.
until I got married. Yeah, I never had.
So if he's not there, there's a comfortable bed to sleep on.
And so we slept on the floor quite often. We would sleep on the floor. So Cody's explaining, like, your bedroom is an open door. My baby sister lived with us for quite a while. And when she went to move away, she expressed because I have had an open door policy in our relationship, because I always felt so kicked out when my dad would come home. My parents would go in the bedroom. They'd shut the door. Melanie, you're the oldest. You're in charge. And it was like my parents would just disappear. We literally couldn't knock on the door, or we'd get in trouble. We'd get spanked. And so it was like, unless somebody's bleeding or dying, do not bother us. And that was how the evenings were spent when my dad was home. And it was extremely frustrating. So when my baby sister moved in with us for a while, for about a year and a half, when she moved out, she, in tears, said to me, "Thank you for always having your door open so I could come to you whenever I needed to." And I started to cry too, because I was like, thank you for noticing that and appreciating that, because my own children didn't notice that. And it's not that they didn't appreciate it. It was just, that was their life. They were able to access either one of us at any given time. Where she wasn't, and she knew the value of being able to come in and access us whenever she wanted. She's like, even, and her emotions, even at 1 a.m., she was like, I could come in your room even at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and say, I need to talk to you. And you guys made yourself available all the time, which we did, because we know how it felt to be shut out.
We didn't have that.
Right. And it felt like you were being shut out. And so, but again, this is the only time that these parents have any time to work on their relationship, because there's just not, I mean, he's gone for 4 days and then he comes back, and this is when they have the time to hash out whatever they have going on. So it's not that, I feel like, not that every parent does that as a way to isolate their children. It's just they do it because they have shit to figure out when you're living this way. But this whole conversation with him is really hard to watch. He's so insecure. He's like, and what's I find really disturbing is that he's turning every conversation into sexual innuendos, where we're on season 4 and we haven't seen this. And now all of a sudden, every conversation in season 20 has a sexual innuendo when it comes to Robin and Cody.
Well, that's because he doesn't have other wives that'll get frustrated with him. Those sexual, I'm sure he used to do this all the time, but he did it within their bedroom, in that privacy. We don't talk about sex. We don't talk about anything. Well, now he's down to one wife, and he wants to be, he's just showing his true colors, and Robin's sitting there playing like she's still a sister wife, and somebody could get embarrassed, or they might have somebody come into the family, and that she doesn't want to show her
but
what
it's
she
creepy.
does in the bedroom. It is.
The way he does it is creepy and gross, and it feels inappropriate in a lot of the ways that he says and does stuff. And you can see her just be like, what the hell? Like a, deer in the headlight look, like, what are you doing?
Well, when you're raised in a very close society, and you've got that creepiness comes from the dating attitude, and all of the men did it. And so you would rather have a younger man. Well, she's 10 years younger than him, but the other choice was 30 years older than her, type. And so she's going to take his, but they would do it in private. And so that was something that, okay, we get to do it. Now that he wants to take that creepiness into public and everybody's looking at him like weird, what the hell? Then she's like, okay, now this is embarrassing. You're embarrassing me.
It feels creepy. And so they're having this whole conversation about a vertical dance and with a horizontal wish, and it's just so awkward and so uncomfortable. Like, I don't think you and I have ever, even if we were to talk like that in public, I don't feel like we ever need to talk like that. Like, we'll do stuff just to embarrass our kids.
Yes.
Like, there's a TikTok trend out there right now where you say, okay, daddy, thank you, daddy. And so I called Cory daddy the other day doing something. What were you doing? And I was like, oh, thanks, daddy. And he's like, you're welcome, mommy. But it's a TikTok trend. You're supposed to do it in front of your kids to see how they act. Our son was just like, he didn't even say a word.
Just got up.
And I'm like, Cory goes, really? We get nothing for that? And he's like, no, you two are dumb all the time. I'm not even going to react to this. And then he did it in front of our daughter too. And she was just like, oh my God, this is why I moved out. I can't handle you two. You're so dumb.
Yeah.
But we'll do it just to mess with our kids. But the way that Cody is doing it feels so creepy and so inappropriate. It's like he's trying to do the gotcha so that Robin goes, oh, you're right. I love you so much. But she's not responding the way he wants. She's not giving him the attention that he's seeking. This man is such an attention whore that it's like every time he turns around, look at me. It's like a 2-year-old with this. Look at me. Hey, watch me.
Well, for 30 years, that's
all he got
attention
from everybody.
And now he's a monogamous, and it sucks because now he's living real life where you don't get 24/7 attention like he's used to.
Well,
So,
and she's judging the shit out of everything this man does.
mhm.
She's judging the way and he's been able to do his dance moves and have the whole world think he was so cool. All of his wives thought he was so cool. Janelle's the only one who was like, yeah, I'm not doing that shit. But Christine got into it. Mary got into it. I think it's always been uncomfortable for Robin.
His
But
kids
now-
got into it. It was a way to connect with his kids too, just to
Right.
be goofy
Right.
and do
Which is fine. Go do
yeah.
that. But it embarrasses
Well-
Robin. You can see that it embarrasses her.
Yeah. Well, and here's the reason why too, because he was trying. This was a study. The church that we grew up in did not allow this at all. You
Yeah.
could only listen to classical music,
Certain
and
types of
dance.
music.
Yeah. And you couldn't do rock and roll. You couldn't do a lot of country. You couldn't do any of that. And so he didn't, even though the kids might have gone to those church dances, he wanted them to be able to dance, to enjoy themselves, to listen to different music. So I feel like that's something that he did, and to be goofy and let them, which this shows.
Gave them a lot of confidence, I think.
And this shows that he did care about them at one time.
Right.
But it's that adolescence in fun dancing, and Robin has a different perspective. She was looking for a righteous priesthood.
Yeah, but she did have that rap dance video.
I know, but that's when she was an adolescent.
Now
she
she's
has grown
mature.
up. She's grown up. He has not.
Yeah.
He's still the goofy guy, and now her and him have alienated all the kids. They don't want to dance with.
She's the only
goof
man
around
left.
goof with him, and so now he's trying to do the same thing, trying to, I don't know, metaphorically pull the stick out of her ass, and it's not
stick up there.
It's not working. She's very righteous and religious.
What I find interesting too is that you've got Christine remembering, oh, Cody was a great dancer. He loved to get involved. He had his own dances. She could name the dances. And then he's got Robin, who she's like, I don't know what to do with whatever it is you think you're doing. And so she's so judgmental of all of the things that he's doing that he's so insecure with himself now,
He
which
really
is not a good look. It is extremely unattractive when a man gets that insecure with himself. And so I feel like this is one of the ways that I feel like she picks all the little things apart that he does. And now he's like, do you like me now?
Yeah.
Wait, do you like me now? And so she tells him, yeah, let's go to dance lessons. Let's go figure this thing out because I don't know what to do. I'm an accessory. And here's the problem. You have two people that love to be the center of attention. And she's over here going, well, wait a minute.
Shy center of attention.
Yeah, this should be about me. You're dancing with me, dancing, I'm not your accessory. You're mine, buddy. And so now he's over here like, well, shit, I got to learn how to dance with her now. I don't know what to do.
Now we got to watch Robin on Dances with the Stars or Cody. That's going to be miserable.
And that's the thing too, is like, she does seem like she has the biggest stick. And so I'm surprised by the rap video. I'm surprised that she was dancing at their wedding because she just does not seem, she seems like she's so concerned about what other people think about her, which is crazy to me because she's probably one of the most hated women on the internet, which I feel sad for her for that. But she's so, I don't know. She's very awkward and uncomfortable now. If she's not being a know-it-all, she's being awkward and uncomfortable. And so I feel she hasn't found that flow or that rhythm of who she is yet. And maybe she's redefining herself now because she is in her mid 40s. That is a time when women tend to redefine themselves. I don't know.
She's being righteous and
I just feel sad
piety
for her.
and.
But there's also a lot of videos out there of the two of them dancing at bars. That's why when she's like, I've never even been into a bar. People are like, here's the dancing video of you and Cody at a bar. Yeah, you have. And so she's just awkward right now. But anyways, we beat that horse to death. So then we go.
Sacred cow. We beat that sacred cow to death.
So we go to North Carolina and we're at Maddie and Caleb's house. And I love that Maddie and Caleb have become like a hub for the family. Like, hey, I need to have some family time. I need to feel like I'm with my family. Like, I need a little bit of nostalgia, whatever. Let's go home. and now they're coming to Caleb and Maddie's. I love how welcoming Caleb is. Go ahead.
I enjoy how he's showing up. He really is showing up as a big brother or a parent figure. He's joking with the boys. He's talking to the kids. This family's been broke apart. It's healing now. There is some of them coming together, some camaraderie, but he is really in there as the big brother who is because these boys don't want to go to Cody and joke about having girlfriends or dating or anything like that. He's nobody that to them now. Something's broken down, and so Caleb's stepping in there. And then Caleb kicked my butt because he does asking Axel if he's excited to have another little sister, and he's like, let's see if read it here.
Did you write it down?
Yeah, God blessed us with these little girls because he knew that we would be their protectors. And I see him coming in and protecting all the kids and the wives. He is showing these guys how to be protectors, showing his son how to be a protector of the little sisters and the wives and stuff like that. That's how we were raised too. And then you see, but once they're disobedient, once they don't follow the priesthood leader, then they get pushed out, and now
they don't deserve protection.
Not only don't deserve protection, but Cody goes above and beyond to persecute them, to say meaner things to them because they're not obedient to him.
Yeah.
And so when Caleb's showing, no, you can just protect our family, protect our hub. And unfortunately, he probably has to be that bigger person and protect them from Cody and Robin.
Well, and this is one of the things too, like in our family too, Cory has become that person in my family where all the girls come to him for protection because unfortunately, some of my brothers are very much like my dad. And so they don't feel like they have that in an older brother. And so I appreciate watching these boys interact with each other, banter with each other. I know that some of them get a lot of grief online, but I think they're just misunderstood children or misunderstood young adults because I personally feel like there's so much goodness, and you can see that when these boys are bantering back and forth with each other. And so unfortunately, I don't see that in a lot of my brothers. I do have some brothers that are very much this way, but I have too many brothers that have followed in the same footsteps as my dad. So there's not a lot of safety there for the girls in my family. And so that is really important, especially when we're raised in a community where it's because it's like, what do you, in one breath, it's like, you're the protector, you're the provider for these girls. And then in the next breath, it's like, well, you own them too. And so we don't always know, our lights just went out. So we don't always get that equal treatment of, yes, you're supposed to protect them, and yes, you own them. So it can be a combination of both, and it gets a little bit tricky. Let's see if we can fix these lights. What is happening? This is like the second time our lights have gone out while we've been filming. There we go. Damn. There we go. Yeah. So I feel like there's kind of a miscommunication there. These young men don't always have the best example of what to do or how to
and I think
treat women.
Christine hit this really well when she's talking to David. We grew up in a society that we really didn't have a voice. If you expressed your opinion or if you expressed how you were feeling, you were told not to shut that down, to hold it down, or you'd get in trouble for your thoughts.
Right.
And so a lot of kids that are raised up in the AUB or in these closed societies don't know how to communicate. I'm sorry, that the conversation that they're having is that Peyton quotes a movie and he's wanting you to understand, okay, this is how are you feeling, Peyton? I can't put that into words because I might get in trouble for it. I felt like this movie the feeling that I had at that time.
That's why Monty Python was so big in the family.
And so there's a lot of humor to kind of deal with not being able to tell your feelings or your opinion. And so when we get out into, I mean, I got out into the world and I didn't want anybody to know that I was from a polygamous group. I would give them, hey, this is who I am, da, 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 da. But I would not mention that I was from a polygamous group or a huge family or anything like that until people really got close to us. And it is something that I was trained with when I was a kid and a young adult, not to talk and not to tell, not to have a conversation. And it's something that we've had to work on through our marriage. No, it is our right to have a conversation, to be honest with each other and to work through those feelings and actually tell how you're feeling, versus just pushing that down and not saying anything about it because you're going to get in trouble for it.
Right.
And so these kids, I don't know the kids, but some of the same attributes, Peyton joking around and stuff like that, reminds me of when we were teenagers and you'd rather tell a funny joke instead of going, man, that really hurt, I miss my brother. You get frustrated and say something like, can't believe he left me, or da 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 da.
Right.
You just can't tell that deep hurt and feeling because you've never been trained, never been allowed as a child to speak or to feel your feelings to the full extent. So
yep. And I think it's sad because you see these kids, but I mean, I do love that they banter back and forth with each other, but they're learning now as they're becoming more adults. They're having to retrain and reprogram themselves, even though they were not raised deep within the church. They were raised enough before they moved to Vegas that they got a lot of the training.
And they were raised by parents who
had that deep training.
Really well trained. It's going to take a couple generations to
well, and people want to come after us all the time. Well, Cody wasn't raised in polygamy, but he was raised Mormon. He was raised LDS, and they're very. Where do you think the AUB came from? It came from the Mormon
same
church.
doctrine.
They're the same doctrine.
Same doctrine.
Yep. So
there's a few details that are different now, but it's the exact same doctrine.
Yep. So then we're talking about Maddie. She's about to have her baby. The producer asks Janelle, does Cody know about her baby? And Janelle's like, no, why would he? They haven't talked in like 3 years.
2 to 3 years.
2 or 3 years. And I just thought, how tragic is that he is missing out on so much of his children's lives, and his grandchildren's lives.
And unfortunately, all evidence points towards he doesn't care. He's got a new family. That's the old family, the disobedient family. Yep.
And they might have edited it out when he had the video phone calls with Janelle and Mary, but I feel like that's something maybe the producers would have left in there to show, no, I mean, look, Cody is asking about his grandchildren. He does want to know, but they didn't show that. He didn't even ask in the video call in the previous episode. So
he brags that he's got kids that he's raising and they're funny.
Yeah. And that was one thing that was one thing I had pointed out on a previous video, is like, these are your grandchildren. He doesn't even know. He's going to probably find out on TV that Madison had a baby. And then we're talking. So we find out Gabe's going to move to Chicago to move in with his girlfriend, and Peyton's got a girlfriend out in North Carolina. The banter goes on. What I was really surprised about is then they flash back to Christine, and Christine makes a comment that, I think you should live with somebody before you marry them, and you should travel with them a lot before you marry them. And she goes, I know, I was so pious. That is such a far way to come. Again, we've talked about this, where the pendulum swings all the way from one side to the other. That is a really far way for Christine, a pendulum swing for her. Yeah. Because from going to kissing your husband for the first time over the altar to, yes, now I want to be travel buddies and live together before we get married, is a huge swing. Again, deconstruction of your religious beliefs.
But that's, I feel like, ours too. I mean, I want my kids to know the partners, make sure that they're compatible before, and I don't have the
every single one of our kids has done that.
Yep,
I just was thinking about that.
Yep, I don't have the same belief systems as I was trained up with.
Yeah.
So,
Every one of our kids has lived with their partners before they've married them. We didn't, however. But I think we spend enough time staying at each other's homes to get to know each other. But we didn't, because I had 3 kids that were still in school. I was still a full-time mother. I didn't have time to entertain a boyfriend the way that I would have if you would have moved in with us. And I wouldn't have done that to my children.
I wouldn't
Under
have done
those
that
circumstances. I wouldn't have had you move in with me because I had children. And I had young children. My
but
baby.
that's completely different
Right.
than 2 newly
Right.
boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, or
Right.
fiancés moving in, seeing how things are going to work before they.
Yeah, my baby was
Right.
only 19 months old when Cory and I started dating. So I had very, very young children. But yeah. All right. So then we flash back over to Mary and Jen, and she's still digging through these boxes, trying to figure out all of her stuff. She's talking about notes that Cody used to write to her. Just the verbiage in some of the notes is so uncomfortable and awkward. And it's just the things, I have notes like that. Obviously, we did not have cell phones back then, no texting, no nothing. I have notes like that from my ex-husband. I still have them. Honest to God, we should go through our basement stuff. It's probably horrible, the stuff that we have down there. But we do. They're just in boxes and they're out of sight, out of mind, right? Until you go to, oh, hey, we should go look that up. And then she talks, what I really appreciate about, you had mentioned this on one of our previous videos, is that these wives are trying to talk about the things that they appreciated about Cody back in the day. Cody used to be this way and it was great. He used to do this. It used to do that. And so Mary is now reflecting on some of her stuff with Cody. Yeah, he used to write me these really nice notes. I don't know what I'll ever do with them now. I personally, I know there's a lot of people who say, burn it, get rid of it, get it out of your life, get the energy out of your life. I don't know. I guess to me, that was a part of your life. And especially if you have children with that person, to allow those children to go back and see some of that, I think is important, because that your child could come away with, we only know who our dad is now. And he's such a totally different person than he was with my mom in the beginning. So I think it's healthy to have your kids be able to see, at the beginning. I did appreciate the way that Mary went back and started talking about Janelle. She started talking about, hey, I did not appreciate Janelle as much, and then Janelle's mother took her wedding ring with Janelle's father, put a diamond in Mary's Claudia ring and Cody's. Just to show the unity between, and a lot of times this is we stopped and had a long conversation about this. The matriarchs are in polygamy, have a lot of, they want to be a certain way. They want to do a certain thing, but they're human. They don't always get it right. And so they're going to try to project that onto their children. Hey, this is a great way to bring unity. And that's awesome. But I feel like what it does is it creates like a false belief of what these women can expect their relationships to be like, because that's not what everyone, there's no way that Janelle's mom and Mary's mom, or Janelle's mom and Cody's mom, and then the third wife, all 3 wives, that it was harmonious the entire time. It wasn't. But when they try to teach the next generation, this is how you should live polygamy, be inclusive, be whatever, then I feel like it's like, I didn't do it like this. So this is, if you do it this way, then you'll have the harmony, you'll have the healthy, happy polygamous family. And so I think that's why we are all kind of sold some story that just is not reality.
Well, and if you look at it too,
hopefully that made sense.
Yeah, if you look at it, at the time that Janelle and her mother were including them, it's a hard life.
Yeah.
And so there wasn't that level of appreciation at that time. Now Mary, 30 years later, is going, dang, she did a lot that I didn't see, or I didn't.
And she's appreciating Janelle
appreciating
for that
it now. And especially now that Janelle has, over time, Janelle was the one that reached out to Mary and said, hey, we need to get this property in our names so that we're protecting both of us. We can do it better as a team than trying to do it separate. And so that, I don't know, that show that Janelle has been looking out, even though sometimes when you're living together, it's miserable. And so maybe Yeah. Now, and this is how the matriarchs do it too. 30 years later, they're like, oh,
Oh,
hey,
hey, reflecting back on that.
Yeah. Even though they just lived through 30 years of hell, reflecting back on the positive things
Right.
that did go on that they should have probably appreciated more. But it's hell. It's 30 years of hell. So,
Yeah. And again, it's the story that we're sold because they do reflect back on these were some of the good times. One of the things Cody does say in here, so Mary's going back, she's reading the letters. One of the things he said is that Mary was extremely insecure and needed constant reassurance. No kidding, you jackass. Like she's 19 years old. And this is where I get
looking for other wives.
And that's what's so frustrating to me is like you get married, you're in dating mode, right? My ex-husband was in constant dating mode. Even when we were dating, he was still like looking at other girls. And so girls, especially in our society today, to have a tendency to not have the most confident of, they don't have a lot of confidence. And so here, when your husband is constantly dating and looking at someone else, it's like, why are you not happy with what you have here? And so then the minute that you're married, bam, that goes even 10 times harder. Like, it's like, okay, where's the next one? Let's go. And so, of course, this girl needs a lot of reassurance. And to me, if you're so ignorant that you come into this religion and somebody didn't say you're going to constantly be needing to hold your wife's hand and love her through this process, because this is a hard process to go through, you have no business even opening or entertaining being in polygamy.
It's interesting to see that all the wives, the original, are talking about, hey, there were some good times. This is what we appreciated.
It's important to remember that
of each other.
Yeah.
But thank goodness the evolution has moved forward and we're no longer married to Cody. We don't have to deal with that anymore. And Cody is still butthurt. He's going after Christine. He's going after Mary, and he's going after Janelle. So they'll say something nice, or hey, he sent this letter and everything, and Cody has to pop up. Well, she was insecure. She was this. So it is that poor guy is so.
Yeah.
His nostalgia is he used to be a king. He used to be worshipped, and now what?
Robin
doesn't do that for him anymore. And the other wives that used to do that used to raise him up and are all gone now. They're tired of it, and they're on to a different life. And he's frustrated with them about that. So
well, so then we flash forward to Christine and David, and they're talking about how they have a discussion. It's one of the biggest discussions that they've had. We say the same thing. We're having a discussion. We're not fighting. We're not having an argument. We're just having a discussion because, again, it was never safe to say your opinion or you were withheld love. You were withheld. And this was a very common theme in most polygamous families. Again, not broad stroking everybody, but this was very common for men to withdraw their love if you expressed yourself. So he is concerned. David is concerned about Peyton not showing up in his own life because he's constantly reflecting on movie themes, right? And then he talks about Christine then comes back to, we needed this in our lives. Real life was so hard. We needed to escape real life. That's why we got so into movies together. That's why we got into fiction, things that weren't real, because real life was way too hard. And I felt like that was so telling of exactly how these relationships go, because life is just kicks you in the teeth in this religion. And again, we had talked about this a couple of episodes ago that we did, that there was a time when these Harlequin, they were called Harlequin romance novel books, or these, romance novel books went through the AUB, and a lot of women were losing themselves in these books. And Christine talks about it right here, because real life was so hard that it was easy. Now, hopefully she didn't ever do that with her kids. I don't think she did, but she talks about her Scottish romance novels, and she talks about, you had to lose yourself in something else.
Well, the only time you ever felt romance is by reading the books, or the wives ever felt romance. He felt romantic as hell because he was going from one wife to the next to the next. But yeah, they were looking for some level of romance that he couldn't provide and he wouldn't provide for them.
Right.
And that now he wants to provide for Robin and she doesn't want that.
And she's over here like,
That was okay twice a week or what have you, but yeah. Every single day, Cody.
It's over. Back. Yeah.
And
well, go ahead.
You go.
Well, Christine just talks about being 52 years old and now finally figuring out her emotions because she was never able to express her emotions, or she was withdrawn love if she shared her emotions or how she was feeling. So here she is 52. And one of the things that I understand where David's coming from, because I feel like I do this a lot too, and I don't mean to, but when I watch someone else do it, I can see how harsh it can be. But David is like, listen, I'm not withholding this from you, so you need to get over this and let's have this conversation, not taking into account that he married a woman who has been in not necessarily a victim of a cult, but victim of a cult to some degree. And he's over here telling her, you need to get over it. You know, I'm not doing this to you. Cody might have done this to you. I'm not doing this to you. Get over it and share your emotions with me. And I tend to do that a lot too. I tend to get frustrated as I watch people try to deconstruct and I'm just like, come on, get over it. Like,
move forward quicker.
Yeah. Like, mom, let's get over this. Like, why are you still hanging on to this? And so watching David, I felt maybe for myself, I could learn to have a little bit more empathy for people. And maybe he could have a little bit more empathy for Christine, because this is how she was trained from birth to withhold and everything's fine. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm fine.
Yeah. Especially if he's having a conversation and she knows her opinion's going to be different than his,
right,
or the opposite of his. And okay, mine's going to be opposite. She just doesn't know how to safely say, well, this is my opinion. It's different than yours. That's a learned technique that we have had to learn because we weren't given that opportunity as children. So,
well, and what's interesting to me is I feel like in our relationship too, it was almost the opposite, because I'd already been through a marriage where I was shut down all the time, that I came into our marriage going, yeah, that's not going to happen. And then he was raised in a house with 9 women who could be overbearing. So then he was just like,
especially for kids.
Yeah. He was just like, F this conversation, I'm out. And he'd dip. And I'm over here like, whoa, wait a second. Why aren't we having this conversation? And I would get really frustrated because I was not going to be shut down again. And he was not going to be told what to do. So he'd dip instead. And so we have really had to learn how to communicate with each other through that, going, okay, wait a second, I'm getting too overbearing. Take a step back, take a breath.
And I'm not speaking how I'm feeling or my belief system. So,
and even now I feel like sometimes we have to catch ourselves.
Yeah.
Or like what sucks and it's great at the same time is everything's on video anymore. And so I'm like, God, I'm such a dick. Well, how am I being like, I didn't realize I was being such a jerk. And then he's like, were you? And I'm like, yeah, look how angry I look. Like, I look so angry. And I have natural RBF. I get that. But I'm like, I have to consciously tell myself, put a smile on your face, put a smile on your face. But now that I can see myself back in so many videos, it is really like, oh, shoot, I didn't realize I was coming off that harsh. And a lot of it is, again, that pendulum thing where I was so compliant and I swung all the way over to being like, yeah, go screw you. Yeah. So anyways, all right. So then now I feel like we're getting better into, we're now in a situation where we can express our emotions without feeling like we're going to get in trouble all the time. Yeah. And I feel like we're on both ends of that. Yeah. And so I feel like David and Christine, I mean, they're brand new into their marriage. What are they, 3 years, maybe 2 years? I mean, we're coming up on 25. So we've had some time to figure that out, where they're still in the process of that. Okay. Then we're going to,
they're young kids.
I know, right? They might be older than us, but they're young in their marriage and they're figuring it out. Then we're back to Mary, and she talks about Cody melting down her ring. And she didn't, because her exact words, he didn't want Mary to have claim on him. And then he comes back and says, well, I didn't want her to have any more claim on me than the other wives did, because she was very aggressive and she was very, I wish I would have written it down, but he said something else about Mary being very domineering and controlling over him. And so she then comes back and says, oh, he made this necklace and wants to know about the necklace part of it. And her and Jen's like, why don't you melt it all down and give it to Leon and Aubrey? Audrey, Leon and Audrey. And Mary's like, who wants that kind of energy? Nobody wants that kind of energy in their life. But I don't know. I'm curious if the kids might want that, because you're taking something that has old gross energy and you're recreating and redefining it into something new. I don't see that. I don't know. For me, I guess I wouldn't have an issue with that.
I think she should melt it down and make a butt plug out of it to be around his dealing with all of his shit.
He says that to me. I think, and I'm all, you have to say that in our video. And he's like, no, I don't think I'm going to. And then he did anyways. Because I was like, yeah, because she's,
it's where it belongs.
Had to put up with all of his shit for so long. All right. So then she just Christine talks about her and David being authentic. She believes that polygamy dilutes marriages. Mm-hmm. And I was like, 100% it does. And so I paused the TV. We had this long discussion with my mom. Mom, do you believe that polygamy diluted your marriage and your relationships? And
I wrote down the marriage. Well, Melanie pointed out that she said it dilutes marriages, but I had written down that it dilutes relationships all the way around. Even when you have 39 kids, you don't get to hang around with them very often. I mean, and you don't get a good connection with your children. You have 9 wives. You don't have a really good connection with each and every wife too. So it dilutes all the relationships around you. So he is spread very thin, and usually wants to be around those that agree with him and are obedient or stuff like that. And so those are the kids / wives that get most of his attention. So
right. Well, and I feel like too, you never fully have to figure out your issues or your problems because there's just not enough time. You know, what we talked about earlier when, you know, Cody would come in and it's like the parents go in the bedroom and they shut the door. That's their time to figure stuff out. And then there's no relationship time with the children. And unfortunately, that is one of the things that happens is there's just not enough time to heal things. And you hear Christine say this over and over in her book. David knew there was an issue. He stayed. We figured it out. Yeah. And it was like resolved in one where in polygamy, you can have an issue go for months, if not years, because it's never resolved.
Or he's never involved with that. Right. That's your issue.
You need to figure
that out and let me know what you came up with and how you're going to change and be more sweet.
Right.
Be more caring. Your issue is that you're not being a good sister wife. Once you fix that, come talk to me and I will give you input whether you are a good sister wife. Well, my issue is I got a jackass husband right now. Well, you don't. You got a priesthood holder, and go work on your issue and start to appreciate me more. Right. So that's how they talk through their problems in polygamy. So.
Well, and one of the things too, I really love the way David goes into a lot of explanation. So apparently his older sisters lived polygamy and he was 16 and wanted to fight the guy all the time because of the way he treated his older sister. One of the things David says is that he believes polygamy creates men with egos. Absolutely it does.
Or it attracts high ego men.
Yep.
Into this thing where they are, and what he named it is control.
Yep.
Removing of their love. I mean, it's all about the control of these women because he can withdraw and children because he can withdraw his love at any time. And he expects to be catered to when he comes around. So,
well, and we've seen this a million times where men love to watch these women compete for their love.
Mhm.
So he pits them against each other where they
Mhm.
compete for his love. And that is I love how David says that's just wrong. Like it's completely wrong. And it's just a way to control and manipulate these women into doing the bidding of this man, and we even hear Christine, say, I couldn't trust Robin. I went to Robin and she told Robin a few things. And then Robin went straight to Cody and tried to whatever with like really mind your own business. But I feel like that is one of the ways. So then Cody pits Robin against Christine pits it, and it's just a never ending cycle of these women bickering and bickering with each other. And these men are just sit back and go, yeah, look how wonderful I am. I've got all these women fighting for my affection and love. And now Cody doesn't have that. And you can see it. You can see how insecure he is because he doesn't know who he is as a person without these women fighting over him, without these children fighting over his affection. When women and children have enough and they wash their hands and they step out, these men don't know who they are at that point.
Cody thought he was a pro at manipulating relationships. He really did. And he'd been doing that for, 17 years with 3 of the wives who loved and adored him. And then he married the real pro who was able to come in and manipulate him and pit him against his other wives. And so you want to see who a real pro is, that'd be Robin. Robin's the pro manipulator in that relationship. And she's still doing it to him, pushing him away. He's whining, wants that love and affection. And so he's putty in her hands up to the point where he won't even step out, even though she says the pretty words, but he won't step out and make a connection on his own back with his children. So he might be doing it for the TV here, but I have yet to see anything that they've shown, and anything that I've seen with the kids still seem to have some sort of a distance from him. And that's because she's controlling that. So.
Right. Well, and I do appreciate that that David recognizes that and says it right out loud. I've literally heard people say, you know what I love about polygamy? I love that my wives fight over me. It feeds into the narcissistic ego part of a person. And I mean, and then they get so old that they're so set in their ways that there's no changing that. There might be some hope for Cody that he might, but I would be very surprised. He's so set in his ways about it. Then we move to Mary, and she's talking about her early years of trying to come into the family and how insecure she really was with herself. She talks about everything was wrong with her. Her feelings were wrong. And this is one of the things that gets me riled up, because I was told, if I had jealous emotions, those are wrong. Go fix those. Go pray. Go do whatever you need to do. And so I appreciate that Mary talks. I was wrong. I was wrong for having jealous feelings. I was wrong for being a bad sister wife. I was wrong for being a bad wife. Hell, I couldn't even have a child. Everything about me was wrong. And I feel like this is the undertone that we as young girls were raised in. Everything about you is wrong. Fix it so that you could be a good sister wife. And if you're not a good sister wife, it's because you haven't fixed what's wrong with you. And it's just this perpetual cycle of self-abuse and self-beratement. And it's just, gosh, listening to Mary say that it like struck a chord in me and made me sad, because I remember feeling like, I remember apologizing for myself until I felt like I could apologize myself into non-existence because I never did anything right. And I still do that. And I don't like to be a victim about it, but I find myself sometimes going, oh my God, do I do anything right? And I know we as humans get that way anyways, but when you're in this religion and this is a constant thing that you're reminded of all the time, of all the things that you're not doing right. So I appreciated that Mary pointed that out, even though it felt, it's like jealousy is
post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Yeah. Jealousy is a normal feeling. It's a normal emotion. It's a normal part of life. I mean, again, gosh, where were we talking about this the other day? That the men even get jealous. Oh, you were saying this, that the men even get jealous.
Well, just with Cody and Robin, I feel like that there's he had 3 other wives that he had to go and visit and go and see. And he would, uh, yeah, it might have started out with her coming over and visiting when he's at the other wives, but he wants to be around Robin and whatever she's creating.
Yeah.
And so he almost gets a jealousy that he has to be over another wife's house when she could be doing something fun, or she could be,
Robin could be doing something fun without Cody.
Without Cody. And so eventually she's setting up, well, you're going to be over at this person's, I'm going to go see my mom, or I'm going to go do this. And he gets jealous about what's going on and wants to be involved to the point where he doesn't want any other men looking, especially at the beginning of their relationship. He's even saying, I don't want any other men. I want you to wear that big rock.
I don't want people thinking you're some single mom.
Single. So he's always wanting to be around. And so as he goes away to visit the other wives, he has animosity or jealousy that he doesn't get to be with Robin. And eventually he just made it so that he was with Robin all the time.
Right.
So,
right. And I appreciate, so then we switch to David and Christina. I appreciate how much David just goes at, he's just like, yeah, this is how men control these women. Yeah. You know, you're feeling jealous. I'm just going to withhold love from you. You're feeling this. I'm just going to withhold love from you. And he talks about how much these men control these women. And then Christine also talks about her garments and how she told Cody she was going to stop wearing her garments because she felt frumpy and she felt unattractive in them, and she was going to stop. And Cody just said, okay, how does God feel about that? She's like, God feels fine about it. And she stopped wearing them, and he didn't seem like he even cared. And yet we use these little things all to control. I did it myself for years, where it's like we control our behavior based on a judgment we feel like we're going to get. So as David is just, I mean, you can tell David is very passionate about this, about how angry he feels with the way that men control women in polygamy.
He's personally seen the negative side of it. So
yeah. And so, yep. So here we go over to Janelle. We're going to show you this little clip right here. Oh, shoot. Let me turn on the volume.
In monogamy as well. And I think it's really dangerous to paint a whole group of people with a broad brush based on one observed experience. And honestly, the secrecy and lack of empowerment for women have sort of allowed some of those things to flourish. That was one of the reasons we went public. We wanted to sort of end that.
So I always look down on that.
So one of the things that Janelle says in there is, it was muted right there at the beginning, is that there's a lot of problems in polygamy, but there's a lot of problems in monogamy too. And one of the reasons they went public is because of the lack of empowerment in women. And yeah, it does frustrate me when that kind of stuff gets brought up, because everyone knows there's a lot of problems in monogamy, but this family painted polygamy out to be a wonderful thing for the first 10 years. And that kind of, I guess that is what frustrates me a little bit about this, is she's like, it's like, no matter what you say to somebody, if you say, but here's why I did it, it just invalidated everything you said before the but. And I feel like that's kind of what Janelle just did here with that. She's like, oh, you know, there's a lot of problems in polygamy, but there's a lot of problems in monogamy too. Okay, but we're talking about polygamy. But there's a lot of problems with single parenting. But these guys wanted to get on TV and make polygamy look like it was a normal thing, and it's just not. And that's where I guess I get a little bit frustrated. I don't understand why Janelle's holding on to that part of it so tightly. Like, no, you can't. And I get that you can't paint a broad brush. And I get that there's some people who probably feel like they're happy. And I get that we can't say everyone is this way based on one family's experience that we've watched. But, you know, pausing it and talking to my mom, I said to her, do you know any family, just name one that doesn't have some of these exact same problems that the Browns had? My mom sat there for a minute. No, I can't name one. Exactly. And so I get frustrated when I watch people like Janelle pop off with that, say, yeah, you know, there's a lot of problems in polygamy, but there's a lot of problems in monogamy. Okay, but you guys got on here to represent polygamy. and you made it look like it wasn't that hard for the first 15 years, 10 years that you were on TV. And that's just, now we're finding out that that is not the case.
Yeah. Monogamy,
Yeah.
marriage are hard. 4 times that, it's 4 times as hard.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's people, she speaks highly of the Dargers and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't know the Dargers personally, but I guarantee they have the cameras on them 24/7 like these guys do or did, and can hear what other family members are thinking or talking about their experience.
Right.
It's going to be hurt feelings too. So,
right.
And yeah, I would say we've always said that Cody and his wives were showing they were one of the best examples of the AUB. So yeah, polygamy is hard. There's a lot worse things that go on within the community that these guys didn't do. So
right. All right, and then Cody, we're wrapping up the whole episode with Cody's just like, I used to have a dancing life before Robin, and we used to go to these strange polygamous dances, and Cody and Robin had their first real conversation at a dance. We have said this in the past, that the dances were kind of, when you said that, I laughed. It's kind of like speed dating, where you have 3 minutes to get to know somebody in a dance. That's very true. A lot of relationships are started at the polygamous dances. Then they gave you a little clip of what it was. You go to the big cultural hall, and everybody comes to these huge dances, and they're very old fashioned. We all knew how to ballroom dance. We all knew how to, sometimes we knew how to do a little country line dancing or, square dancing type thing. It was very common. They were fun dances. I appreciated them growing up. It is something that I do miss, is some of that camaraderie, I guess, that you would have at these dances. They were fun, and they were now I'd go and feel probably very awkward, but I think it's funny because dancing is such a huge part of Cody's life, and he's trying to integrate Robin into that, and she's going kicking and screaming and not seeming like she wants to be a part of it too much.
Well, what did she say? So the whole name of the thing was that he's more of the stripper and she's the pole just in the center where she's dancing around. Well, he wants the exact opposite, like they were when they were dating, where he was the pole and she was the stripper.
Right. And again, that's what I say. You've got 2 people that want to be the center of attention all the time. And she's like, I am not your accessory. You are mine. And so they've got to figure out how to make that work, and
her shy side has only come out since the wife's left. So
right.
Yeah. Now that she can afford to say she's shy, so that it gets him away from her.
Well, and she points out several times throughout this whole episode, this is where Cody's awkward. And I just go like, oh, can you not do that? And this is where, and she's embarrassed by him. You can absolutely see that she's embarrassed by him. And that's frustrating him so bad, because she's like, what the hell? What is happening here? And so I think that he is trying to integrate her into it. She's struggling with it hard. She is embarrassed by him, and she doesn't want to let go of that. But again, he's not the center focal point of 25 people's lives, and his insecurities are popping up their ugly head. So he's judging Mary for needing all this reassurance. Yet that's all we've seen in the whole season 20 is his constant reassurance. Robin, reassure me. You like me, right? Robin, reassure me. You wanted me to keep you up at night? Really? You want me to keep you up, not the kids? It's a constant battle of reassuring Cody to make sure that he feels good about himself. I think it's exhausting.
Yeah.
But
Robin's probably writing him letters so that she doesn't have to hug him. So, because in this episode, but David and Christine at the very end come in and hug each other and kiss, you know what I mean? And then you see the end of this episode also, Cody and Robin finish up their dance, and she comes in and gives him the side hug.
Yeah. Yeah, so, he goes to hug her, and she won't even give him a kiss. She side hugs him, side cheeks him. Yep, and I just think it's so sad. She's like,
she's definitely got to.
Oh, On ignore hard.
Pushed out. So yeah. So now he's just feeling all of the things poor Mary and Christine and Janelle felt growing.
Yeah. Robin really
living
should
in
write him some
polygamy.
letters to
Yeah,
reassure him.
She should.
And then I'd love to see her on the couch. Cody needs constant reassurance.
Yeah.
It's kind of exhausting. I'd love to see that.
Well,
Oh,
yeah.
But one of the things that how they end this entire episode is too with Mary saying, so Christine is saying midway through, we were taught to endure to the end. We were taught that enduring to the end. And she's like, why? Life should be enjoyed. It should be fulfilling till the end. It should be happy till the end. And Mary at the very end says, suffering was going to, in Cody's note that he writes to her, she even says, suffering is going to make you a better person. She says, it's a very interesting idea that we were taught from our church. And one of the things that we paused the show and talked about was in polygamous lifestyle. That's why I said to my mom, did you have a happy life with or did you have a really hard life with moments of happiness? And that's what it feels like this lifestyle does, is it creates an extremely hard life with moments of happiness. You don't have a happy life. And I feel like we've switched that. I feel like our life is happy with moments of hardness.
Stress,
Even when we got divorced for 2 years, it was like, that was a moment, that was a long moment, but there's moments of hardness in that. But that hasn't been our overall experience with each other. It hasn't. But the 10 years I was married to my ex-husband, that was a hard life with moments of happiness. And we're taught that we will be blessed for that if we endure till the end, instead of enjoying our lives and having moments of hard moments, but having an overall general happy life.
Striving for a happy, healthy life, and enduring those moments when they come, but striving for the opposite of what the church tells us to strive for, which is misery, enduring, suffering.
Suffering's going to make you a better person.
You'll just get those moments of joy. So
yeah. So let us know what you guys think. This is our take on this episode. It obviously went a little bit longer than the actual episode did, but got a lot to say about it. So let us know what you guys think in the comments. We appreciate it when you like and share our videos. If you find value in there. Also, YouTube has a new option where you can hype our video. If you see a video within 7 days of it being produced, you can hype that video, and it lets YouTube know that, hey, this is a great video. Let's push this out even farther. So we appreciate all the hypes that we've gotten too.
And our goal is, what is our goal?
We're working on hitting 20,000 followers by the end of the year. So yeah,
help us. Thank you guys.
Yeah. And so we'll be coming back. We are also looking at doing another book club. We'll probably wait until the new year to do that, because we know everybody gets so busy during the holiday season. And then also we have the link for Holding Out Help, which is a localized community here that helps people leave polygamy, because not every person that leaves polygamy has the financial resources that the Browns did to leave polygamy. So if that link will be in the show note description. So if you are, if you're giving to charities for this holiday season, consider them to be one of the charities you donate to.
And that's one thing that I appreciate Sister Wives and Janelle was saying, bringing light to this society.
Yeah.
Because when we were growing up, there was nothing. I don't ever remember anything.
I had to leave 100% on my own and figure it out.
This has brought about a community who would help people coming out of polygamy.
Yep.
Because I never saw it growing up.
And they have specialist therapists who work with people based on polygamy and what the traumas are that they've experienced in polygamy. So they're very specialized therapists. So again, we didn't have this option when we left. We just had to figure it out. We just had to hopefully put one foot in front of the other and keep moving forward. And so again, if you are thinking about this holiday season, who you'd like to help out through the holiday season, please consider them to be an option. They're wonderful, and they know how to make a dollar stretch. Yep. They are very, very conscious with your money when you're donating it to them. So we really appreciate them for that. So let us know what you guys think. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you get notified whenever we do any sort of videos, and hype that video. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thanks, guys.